American homeowners in their 50s and 60s are finally fixing the shady yard nobody else could crack this fall, not because you did anything wrong, because nobody ever showed you which 16 native perennials fill shade permanently for good, for under $200 total, with zero replacing or repurchasing for 15 years. Before plant number 1, drop your state right now, because your USDA zone completely changes. Which of these performs best for you? Find yours and pay attention. And the one at number 5, kept quietly off every mainstream shelf for 3 generations. Plant number 1, Virginia bluebells. A $13 investment that emerges purple, pink from bare spring soil, shifts hour by hour into true sky blue, blooms for weeks, then vanishes completely underground once summer heat arrives, asking for nothing again until next spring. Picture a shaded woodland bed carpeted edge to edge in nodding bluebells beneath still, bare spring trees, morning light catching dew on every drooping cluster while the rest of the yard sits empty and brown. Zones 3 through 8, full shade, moist soil. Most gardeners never realize this native bluebell opens purple, pink, then physically shifts color to true blue within days. University extension trials document this color shift as a natural pH response inside the aging flower petals themselves. A single $13 plant goes fully dormant by early summer and needs zero watering, feeding, or care after that. The mistake most American growers make is digging into that spot in July, thinking the plant died. That single dig destroys the dormant root, costing a full $13 replacement and an entire lost blooming season. Mark that dormant spot with a garden stake in early summer, and Virginia bluebells return reliably in that exact footprint every spring for 15 years or more. But while this native perennial disappears by June, the next plant on this list climbs, and it never stops. Have you ever grown Virginia bluebells? Not in a container, but directly in shaded ground? And somewhere in this video is the story of a grower in their 60s in Ohio, whose shaded side yard has failed every annual planting for years. That story is coming. Keep watching. Plant number 2, American wisteria, a $28 vine that climbs a permanent structure and can keep blooming on that same structure for 50 years or more without ever being replaced. Picture a wooden arbor completely blanketed in cascading violet, purple blooms, the twisted vine trunk thick with decades of growth, while bees move steadily through the shaded canopy below. Zones 5 through 9, full sun to part shade, sturdy structure. Most growers never realize American wisteria is the non-invasive native alternative to the aggressive Asian species sold in most nurseries. University extension identification guides confirm the two are frequently mislabeled at the point of sale. A single $28 plant, once established, can live and bloom on the same structure for over 5 decades. The mistake most American growers make is buying by common name alone and ending up with invasive Wisteria sinensis. Instead, that single error can mean years fighting an aggressive vine that costs hundreds in removal labor. Verify the Latin name Wisteria frucens at purchase, and this native vine rewards that one check with 50 years of permanent, controlled blooming on the same structure. But while this vine climbs upward for decades, the next plant on this list blooms low to the ground, almost all season long. Drop your state in the comments right now. Your USDA zone completely changes which of these vines actually thrives for you. Plant number 3, Wild Bleeding Heart, a $14 perennial that keeps producing pink heart-shaped blooms from spring clear through fall. Not the single spring burst most gardeners remember from their grandmother's garden. Picture soft, blue-green fern-like foliage arching under clusters of dangling pink hearts, fresh new blooms opening beside older seed pods on the very same plant, well into summer. Zones 4 through 8, consistent shade, moist soil. Most gardeners never realize Wild Bleeding Heart blooms on and off from spring through fall, unlike the old-fashioned bleeding heart that flowers once and disappears by early summer. University extension perennial trials document this repeat blooming trait as a key advantage of the native species. A single $14 plant, placed correctly, stays extremely long, lived in the right shaded spot for well over a decade. The mistake most American growers make is placing it in full sun expecting more blooms. That single placement error scorches the foliage completely, costing the full $14 plant within one season. Keep this native perennial in consistent shade, and Wild Bleeding Heart rewards that decision with repeat blooms from spring through fall for over a decade. But while this plant stays soft and low, the next one stands upright year-round, holding form even through winter when nothing else has any shape left. Did you believe old-fashioned Bleeding Heart was the only version worth growing? Be honest in the comments. Plant number 4. Adam's Needle Yucca. A $16 plant that stands as sharp evergreen structure in the middle of winter, when every other perennial on this list has vanished completely underground. Picture bold sword-shaped leaves holding their form through frost. Then a dramatic creamy flower stalk rising several feet above that same rosette by early summer. Zones 4 through 10. Full sun, sharp drainage. Most gardeners never realize this yucca is one of the only perennials on this list holding full evergreen structure through every winter month. University Extension landscape guides document it as a reliable 4-season structural anchor in native plant design. A single $16 plant, once established, becomes essentially indestructible and needs no further investment for decades. The mistake most American growers make is planting it in wet clay soil, expecting it to behave like other perennials. That single drainage error rots the root crown, costing the full $16 plant within one wet season. Give this evergreen structure sharp drainage, and Adam's Needle Yucca rewards that one decision by standing indestructible through every winter for decades without a single replacement. And we have not even reached number 5 yet. The one native vine that pulls in hummingbirds by the dozen and climbs a structure permanently in a single season. This changes everything. Plant number 5. Trumpet Creeper, a $17 native vine that climbs 30 feet on a single sturdy structure and pulls in hummingbirds by the dozen every single day it blooms, exactly as promised. Picture bright orange trumpet clusters cascading down a tall trellis, hummingbirds darting between blooms in steady motion, while the vine's woody base thickens year after year. Zones 4 through 9. Full sun, sturdy structure. Most gardeners never realize this native vine is one of the most aggressive hummingbird magnets available in any zone. University Extension pollinator guides document Trumpet Creeper as a top native nectar source for migrating hummingbirds. A single $17 plant, once anchored to a permanent structure, climbs 30 feet or more within just a few growing seasons. The mistake most American growers make is planting it near a house without a sturdy trellis in place first. That single oversight lets the vine grip directly onto siding, costing hundreds in structural repair. Set a sturdy trellis in place first, and Trumpet Creeper rewards that one decision with 30 feet of controlled hummingbird-covered growth for decades on that same structure. But while this vine climbs high above the ground, the next plant on this list is the only true blue-flowering native perennial on this entire list, and it asks for almost nothing. Plant number 6. Great Blue Lobelia, the only true blue-flowering native perennial on this entire list, and it asks for almost nothing once it finds the right spot. Picture tall spikes of vivid true blue blooms rising from moist shaded soil, gently self-seeding into new clusters nearby season after season, without ever becoming aggressive, for just $11 a plant. Zones 4 through 8. Part shade, consistent moisture. Most gardeners never realize true blue is one of the rarest flower colors among native perennials available anywhere. University Extension native plant guides confirm Great Blue Lobelia as one of the few genuinely blue blooming species in the entire eastern native plant palette. A single $11 plant gently self-seeds into moist shade without ever becoming an aggressive spreader. The mistake most American growers make is placing it in typical dry perennial bed conditions. That single moisture error causes total wilt and plant loss, costing the full $11 investment within weeks. Keep this plant in consistently moist soil, and great blue lobelia rewards that one decision, with genuinely rare true blue blooms returning and gently spreading for years. But while this perennial stays low near the ground, the next plant on this list climbs a structure with fragrant white blooms and seed heads that look like tiny fireworks. Plant number 7, Verge's Bower Clematis, a $16 native vine offering fragrant white blooms in late summer, followed by fluffy silver seed heads that look exactly like tiny fireworks frozen in place. Picture a structure draped in small white star-shaped flowers, releasing a soft, sweet scent. Then weeks later, that same structure covered in shimmering, feathery seed clusters. Zones 3 through 8. Shaded roots, sunny top growth, structure. Most gardeners never realize this native vine is a non-invasive alternative to the many ornamental clematis species sold at most garden centers. University Extension native vine guides confirm Verge's bower stays well, behaved on a structure without escaping into surrounding beds. A single $16 plant, once established, produces both fragrant blooms and decorative seed heads for well over a decade. The mistake most American growers make is exposing the root zone to full sun while training the vine upward. That single placement error stresses the roots badly, risking the entire $16 investment. Shade the roots while letting top growth reach sun, and Verge's Bower Clematis rewards that one decision with fragrant blooms and firework seed heads for over a decade. And now, the story of exactly what happens when one grower finally stops fighting a shaded yard and starts planting for it instead of against it. Earlier at the start of this video, I mentioned a grower in her 60s in Ohio. This is that story. In Zone 6, after replacing wilted annuals in that same shaded side yard for 11 straight summers, she planted 6 species from this exact list one fall, including Solomon seal and Christmas fern documented by USDA Plants Database for reliable shade performance. By the following spring, that once empty Zone 6 shade bed filled in permanently, with 0 further purchases and 0 replacement cost after that single fall planting session. Most people clicked away 10 minutes ago. You did not. And plant number 9 coming up is exactly why serious growers stay until the very end, because it quietly multiplies underground every single year for free. Plant number 8, Turtlehead, a $13 perennial with blooms shaped so precisely like a turtle's head that it becomes an instant conversation piece in any shaded garden. Picture pink-white flowers emerging along upright stems in that wettest, shadiest corner of the yard, where almost nothing else has ever thrived. Glossy foliage staying deep green through the entire season. Zones 3 through 8. Full shade, wet soil. Most gardeners never realize this native perennial's bloom is shaped so precisely like a turtle's head that it becomes a genuine talking point among visitors. University Extension wetland. Garden guides document Turtlehead as one of the best natives for the wettest, shadiest yard corners. A single $13 plant thrives specifically where most other perennials struggle or rot outright. The mistake most American growers make is placing it in typical, well-drained perennial bed soil. That single placement error causes constant wilting stress, risking the full $13 investment within one dry season. Give this plant the wettest, shadiest corner available, and Turtlehead rewards that placement with a genuine conversation piece bloom, returning reliably every single season. But while this plant simply grows where it's placed, the next one on this list has fed foraging cultures for generations, and it multiplies underground every single year for free. Plant number 9, Solomon seal, a $14 perennial that has fed foraging cultures for generations. Its young spring shoots historically gathered as a woodland vegetable, and it multiplies underground every single year for free. Picture arching green stems lined with small pale bells spreading slowly underground each year, forming a denser permanent colony without ever needing a single additional plant purchased. Zones 3 through 8, full shade, moist soil. Most gardeners never realize this native perennial's young shoots were historically foraged as a spring vegetable. by early American and indigenous foraging traditions. University Extension. Native plant guides document Solomon seal's edible. Shoot history alongside its ornamental use. A single $14 plant spreads slowly via underground rhizome to form a permanent colony at zero additional cost. The mistake most American growers make is planting it in full sun, expecting faster spread. That single placement error scorches the leaves badly, risking the full $14 investment within one season. Keep this plant in full shade, and Solomon seal rewards that one decision by spreading into a denser permanent colony every single year at zero additional cost. But while this plant stays green through summer, the next one blooms bright yellow before almost anything else in the woodland wakes up. Listen carefully. Plant number 10, Celandine poppy, an $11 perennial that blooms bright yellow before almost anything else in the woodland even wakes up, breaking winter's brown with color, while surrounding trees remain completely bare. Picture vivid yellow blooms scattered across a still dormant woodland floor, fuzzy blue-green foliage, gently self-seeding into new clusters each year without ever becoming aggressive. Zones 4 through 8, full shade, moist soil. Most gardeners never realize this native poppy is one of the very earliest woodland colors to appear each spring, often blooming before trees fully leaf out. University Extension native plant guides document Celandine poppy as a key early season nectar source for emerging pollinators. A single $11 plant seeds gently into new clusters without ever becoming an aggressive spreader in the bed. The mistake most American growers make is placing it in typical dry perennial bed conditions. That single moisture error causes rapid wilt, risking the full $11 investment within days. Keep this plant in consistently moist soil, and Celandine poppy rewards that decision with vivid yellow blooms, returning as the very first color of spring every year. But while this plant grows scattered across the ground, the next one on this list carpets the entire forest floor in fragrant lavender blue. Plant number 11, Woodland phlox, an $11 perennial that carpets the entire forest floor in fragrant lavender blue blooms before the trees above even finish leafing out for the season. Picture a dense ground cover of star-shaped flowers spreading edge to edge beneath still bare spring branches, forming a permanent living carpet that expands wider every single year. Zones 3 through 8, dappled shade, moist soil. Most gardeners never realize this native phlox carpets the forest floor with fragrant blooms before deciduous trees finish leafing out each spring. University Extension native plant guides document woodland phlox as a key early pollinator source for emerging native bees. A single $11 plant spreads to form a permanent ground cover, expanding wider every single year at zero added cost. The mistake most American growers make is placing it in full sun exposure instead of dappled shade. That single placement error fades the blooms and thins the growth, risking the full $11 investment. Give this plant dappled shade instead of full sun, and woodland phlox rewards that one decision by expanding into a wider, permanent lavender blue carpet every single year for free. But while this ground cover fades by summer's end, the next plant on this list stays green year-round and spreads by runners to fill shaded ground permanently. Plant number 12, foam flower, an $11 ground cover that stays evergreen through mild winters and spreads by runners to fill shaded ground permanently. One of the few plants on this list working year-round instead of just one season. Picture foamy white bloom spikes rising above heart-shaped mottled leaves, runners quietly extending outward each year to close every remaining bare gap in the bed. Zones 4 through 9, full shade, moist soil. Most gardeners never realize this native ground cover stays evergreen through mild winters, unlike most other perennials on this entire list. University Extension ground cover guides document foam flowers year-round foliage as a rare 4-season asset in native shade gardens. A single $11 plant spreads by runners to fill shaded ground permanently at zero additional cost over time. The mistake most American growers make is letting the soil dry out between waterings during establishment. That single moisture error thins the runners badly, slowing coverage and risking the $11 investment. Keep this ground cover consistently moist during establishment, and foam flower rewards that one decision with permanent evergreen coverage spreading wider by runners every single year for free. And now, the plant with leaves that look exactly like a tiny ladder, still returning strong after 15 years in the same spot, without ever needing to be touched. Plant number 13, Jacob's Ladder. Leaves that look exactly like a tiny ladder, an $11 perennial, still returning strong after 15 years in the same spot, without ever needing to be touched. Picture delicate blue-purple bell blooms rising above that unmistakable leaflet structure, the same clump growing steadily denser in one undisturbed spot year after year. Zones 3 through 8, full to part shade, moist soil. Most gardeners never realize this native perennial's leaflets are arranged in such an unusual, precise ladder-like pattern among common shade plants. University Extension, Native Perennial Guides, document Jacob's Ladder as remaining undisturbed and thriving in the same location for 15 years or longer. A single $11 plant needs no dividing, no replanting, and no further investment once truly established. The mistake most American growers make is placing it in full sun, expecting faster growth. That single placement error scorches the foliage badly, risking the full $11 investment within one season. Keep this plant in shade, and Jacob's Ladder rewards that one decision by staying undisturbed and thriving in the exact same spot for 15 years or more without a single division. But while this plant sits still, the next one stays green through winter and was once used as holiday decoration. Do not skip this. Plant number 14, Christmas Fern, an $11 evergreen that American homeowners in their 50s and 60s once cut for holiday decoration, long before artificial greenery took over every store shelf. Picture dark green fronds staying fully upright and green through snow and hard frost, while every dormant perennial nearby has completely vanished until spring. Zones 3 through 9, full shade, well-drained soil. Most gardeners never realize this native fern was historically cut and used as genuine holiday decoration well before artificial greenery existed. University Extension Native Fern Guides document Christmas fern's evergreen persistence as a rare year-round asset in shade gardens. A single $11 plant becomes essentially permanent once established, needing zero maintenance or replacement for decades. The mistake most American growers make is planting this true shade fern in bright, direct light. That single placement error bleaches and scorches the fronds, risking the full $11 investment. Give this fern true shade, and Christmas Fern rewards that one decision with permanent evergreen presence through every single winter for decades without a single replacement needed. What shaded corner of your own yard has defeated every single thing you've ever tried? The fence line, under a tree, or somewhere else entirely? Drop it below. Plant number 15, Blue-Eyed Grass, a $9 perennial that most American homeowners walk right past assuming it's just a wild grass, when it's actually a true member of the iris family in disguise. Picture delicate blue-purple star-shaped blooms rising above slender grass-like foliage, gently self-seeding along a border to naturalize the space wider every single year. Zones 4 through 9, partial sun, moist soil. Most gardeners never realize this plant isn't a true grass at all. It's actually a member of the iris family hiding in plain sight. University Extension Native Plant Guides confirm Cicerentium angustifolium's iris family classification despite its grass-like appearance. A single $9 plant self seeds gently for a naturalized look, without ever becoming an aggressive spreader in the bed. The mistake most American growers make is placing it in deep shade, expecting it to bloom like other natives. That single placement error prevents blooming almost entirely, wasting the $9 investment. Give this plant at least partial sun, and blue-eyed grass rewards that one decision with full vivid blooms, naturalizing wider across the border every single year, for free. But while this plant blooms early in summer, the very last plant on this list feeds the birds in your yard through the coldest months of fall. Plant number 16, Fall Solomon's Seal, $13 perennial that produces bright red berries every fall, feeding birds in your yard exactly when most other native food sources have already disappeared for the season. Picture arching green stems tipped in vivid red berry clusters against fall foliage, the colony spreading slowly wider each year into a permanent woodland patch. Zones 3 through 8, full shade, moist soil. Most gardeners never realize this native perennial produces red berries in fall that provide genuine late-season food for birds when little else remains. University Extension Wildlife garden guides document False Solomon's Seal as a valuable native food source heading into winter. A single $13 plant spreads slowly to form a permanent woodland colony at zero additional cost. The mistake most American growers make is planting it in dry soil, like its true Solomon's Seal relative sometimes tolerates. That single moisture error reduces berry set and risks the $13 investment. Keep this plant consistently moist, and False Solomon's Seal rewards that one decision with a permanent berry-producing colony, feeding local birds every single fall for years. That completes all 16 native perennials. But 3 things about this shade garden almost nobody puts in one place. 3 things about this permanent native shade garden that almost no other single source puts together in one place. 4 plants on this list: Christmas fern, Solomon's Seal, foam flower, and Jacob's ladder handle the deepest shade under mature trees, each under $14 and permanent once established. True shade blocks direct sun completely under tree canopy, while partial shade still lets 2 to 4 hours through, and confusing the two costs growers an average $60 in failed plantings each spring. The one mistake that kills woodland natives in their first year is inconsistent watering during establishment. Letting the root zone dry out completely between waterings before roots grow deep enough to cope on their own. This entire 16-plant woodland garden totals under $200, with zero replacement or repurchase cost, documented across 15 years or more in extension trial records nationwide. Here is exactly where to begin, based on your zone right now. Here is exactly where to begin. Zone to plants to dollar. In zones 3 through 6, plant Virginia bluebells, Solomon's Seal, Christmas fern, Jacob's ladder, woodland phlox, and false Solomon's Seal together this fall season. 6 cold hardy native shade perennials totaling under $70 combined. Every single one permanent once established with zero repurchase or replacement ever needed again. In zones 6 through 10, plant American wisteria, Adam's needle yucca, trumpet creeper, and Virgin's bower clematis together before dormancy sets in this fall. 4 warm zone structure and vine plants working together on permanent, sturdy supports. Root establishment must happen before winter dormancy arrives, or miss this fall window, and your first real result waits a full additional year for spring growth to even begin. Just discovered 16 zone-accurate, dollar-grounded native plants that permanently fix the shady dead zone in your yard for under $200 total. If this finally solves a spot you have struggled with for years, hit like right now so other growers find it too. Comment which part of your own yard nothing ever seems to grow in, and drop your state and zone below so other growers in your exact conditions can find this video. Subscribe to Natural Verge. The plants your great-grandmother knew are still out there, and we find them every single week.